a god who has lost it all, a being who once ruled over everything, saw everyone as a mere toy, capturing souls for fun and tormenting them, only to be usurped. What if an arrogant god meets one of his own? Lord Mortis, a version of X who has been reduced to but a shell of his former self. And the question on your mind might be, who could have done this to him? Well, it's none other than Sonic's own natural enemy, Eggman, or referred to in this story, Bandado. I find it interesting they turned the story of 2011X into the classic Sonic vs. Eggman, this time being their EXE counterparts. I'm going to talk a bit about what is currently known about Bandado and Lord Mortis, and we'll go ahead and start with the big bad himself, Bandado. Both of these EXEs are going to be released in a game called Sonic 2 Gaiden, though the release date is unknown. So this means these characters are still in development. But here is what we know about Bandado himself. Bandado's origins are sort of unknown, but we do know where he stands. Bandado has some form of courteous mannerisms, but don't let that fool you. He's still very much evil. He's aware being senseless and sadistic won't lead him very far if he wants to control people. Much like a more competent Eggman, he relies on his logic and brain to fight his battles, so instead of going, haha, I'm Demon Gur, he more so thinks things out. He prefers to be passively antagonistic unless you make him otherwise. And Lord Mortis is this shriveled up version of X because of Bandado. But why exactly? Bandado turned Lord Mortis into the way he is because their viewpoints just didn't align. X saw everyone as his plaything, things to be consumed, just things for him to have entertainment. Bandado, on the other hand, wants to build humanity in his image. Why keep them the same and torment them when they could be evolving forces of strange machines and monsters? And that's exactly what he set out to do. Bandado took over X's world and made it into his own. On the topic of machines and monsters, however, Bandado has his own form of guardians. Though not many of them are known, we do know they're called Anaxes. At least I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. And there are 7 of them. See, kind of similar to Lord X's guardians. Their job is to oversee the various kingdoms, as well as carry out Bandado's orders. And so far, that's actually all we know about Bandado. He essentially hijacks X's game. So then the follow-up to that is what happens to X. Lord Mortis is the new name given to the fallen god. This is because he looks as if he's going through a constant state of rigor mortis. Lord Mortis also uses his name to mock Bandado as to kind of like say, take that, like I don't care that you did this to me kind of thing. Right, so when exactly did this happen? Well, it happened during the events of the game 2011. Bandado took notice of X, and because of X's arrogance and confidence, it costed him everything. Bandado stripped X of all of his abilities and all of his realms, even taking his victims, Alan and Dave. That's right, Bandado took everything. Powers, abilities, took his game, everything. There is nothing left for him, except for one thing, but we'll get to that. After years of being screwed over, defeated, and humiliated by the great Bandado, caused him to learn maturity and humility, leaning him towards redemption. He plays an eternal game of cat and mouse with Bandado to guide the souls that were captured to fight back. He's watching over and aiding a human soul named Tom who uses a sonic vessel. Now it's worth noting this is one alternate official timeline of X, meaning it was endorsed by Joe Doughboy, creator of Lord X as we know. For those of you curious about EXE and the Guardians, EXE, according to the wiki, is only made in Lord X's timeline. And as for the Guardians, he's not able to make them before becoming Lord Mortis. In summary, Lord Mortis has been humiliated, mocked, and defeated for many years by Bandado. It taught him humility and maturity as time went on, and that had changed something within him. Though he keeps some of his sadistic qualities, such as playing sick jokes on Tom, the protagonist, he now attempts to redeem his sins by preserving and helping souls instead of tormenting them for his own sick entertainment. He guides souls who ended up in Bandado's world in hopes for their survival and to ultimately beat Bandado at his own game. though this struggle has been everlasting. Keep in mind his motives are unknown. He's still X, but he's the only friend you're going to have in this game. Now that we understand what Lord Mortis is and who Bandado is, let me give some of my own thoughts. First of all, Giro Shift, the creator of these characters, did a pretty good job with their overall looks. I mean, both of them look like they're decayed in their own way, especially Lord Mortis. He looks like, I'm not gonna lie, he looks like a garbage man. Though I do actually really like this concept. Turning the Sonic vs. Eggman into an EXE battle is pretty interesting. And X, a sadistic being, is now being humbled and is on a path to redemption. And I honestly find that incredibly unique, as I haven't seen one EXE be humbled necessarily. It's always like, I am God, and I'm going to kill you, and we're just going to play in games forever, and you're going to be tormented, and that's just how it's always been. But here, you have a direct villain to go against. The former villain is now guiding the protagonist to a better place, hopefully, and to fight the battle that he is ultimately could be controlling. I mean, X could backstab Tom during the game, or just usurp Bandado and get his worlds back. Doesn't outright state he's gonna be a good guy. He's still evil, but just doesn't have what it takes to play with his victims anymore. You know, he was just completely battered and bruised by Bandado, all of his powers stripped from him. And now the only way to win is by playing it smart and guiding those who want to overcome the role of Bandado. I'm excited to learn more about the protagonist of this story and have the former X guide you as opposed to be the main villain. I would have never expected this concept, but once I read about it, I was like, you know what? Actually, I was kind of a Lord Mortis hater at first, but I get it now. I'm on the train because this concept is really cool from a gameplay perspective. You have a mission that's being played out, and Lord Mortis essentially guides you through it whenever he can. This could lead to many different possibilities, and honestly, I'm super excited to see where it goes. So this is kind of like a never-ending battle between the former X, now known as Lord Mortis, and Bandado. There is also supposedly supposed to be a prequel to Sonic 2 Gaiden, kind of building up to the events of Sonic 2 Gaiden. And I also like that, if you heard me correctly earlier, you're going to be playing as a Sonic vessel this time, as opposed to like a Tails or anything like that. So it'll be like Sonic vs. Eggman, which should be pretty interesting to see. That being said, there actually isn't too much on these characters that, like I said, they are still being developed. Subscribe if you like EXEs or horror versions of Sonic, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!